Grain Performance and Research Lab has produced a couple of productions. Every single production is very close to my heart. In A Walk into the Mandala, I drew a 3-meter wide circular pattern with rice, which is known as the mandala, to symbolize the cyclic existence that we are in. We live in a hectic world and fight to stay alive.
Yes. Hello. Yes. Hello. Hello. Yes.
In the process, we lost the awareness of breathing, and we have to learn how to breathe again. Happy Waiting is a play written by me, but it's directed by dance artist Bernice. It's an absurdist play that portrays the situations when one is trapped, with a tint of dark humor. Grain Performance and Research Lab also actively seeks opportunities to work with artists from different disciplines such as theatre, visual art, multimedia, music, and dance. In From Heart to Hearts for Hearts, a project which I find deeply meaningful, I performed to visual artist Kylie 15 drawings and paintings on congenital heart defects, CHD, to raise awareness on the struggles of CHD patients. Kylie the artist was born with CHD. This project was created to portray the daily struggles of the CHD patients. The Remembering Resource Tool marked many firsts for Grain Performance and Research Lab. It's the first time we curated an exhibition. It's also the first time that we organized 6 events over 3 days in venue and online. The project includes an immersive exhibition, performance, workshops, and dialogue sessions based on the creative process. Project Transit, Echoes of Waterloo, was a collaborative effort led and produced by Veshnu, Narayanasamy. It experiments and explores the memories of Waterloo Street with a site-specific performance. The performance includes traditional forms, dance, multimedia images, localized dialogues, ancient chants, and modern tunes. We do look forward to creating more exciting and thought-provoking works with artists from a diversity of disciplines. Like, share, and follow us at Grain Performance and Research Lab to receive updates on our new works.
So hi guys, welcome to What is Grain, the live conversation with Grain Priya's Lab's past artistic associates and collaborators. So audience, thank you for joining us for this session. So you guys can actually on the camera and also ask questions to our collaborators if you have any. So today we have Beverly Yuen, the artistic director for Grain Priya Lab, Hanisah, who's an aspiring arts manager, Sheng, a film director, Bernice, artist and dance practitioner, Veshnu, a creative practitioner, and Kylie, visual artist. So I hope you guys are having a good day. And do you mind introducing yourself and share with us a background of what you do in the arts? So Ms. Bev, do you want to start with the conversation first?
Okay, you can just call me Bev, yeah, or Beverly. Yeah, I'm the artistic director of Grain Performance and Research Lab. I started to involve in physical theatre or physical training in theatre upon graduation from NUS Theatre Studies in 1995. I started off as a performer, and then I moved on to directing performances, and I deal with interdisciplinary works within the context of physical theatre, and that's why I have my collaborators, my past collaborators from a diversity of backgrounds here with us. Yeah, that's all about me. Thank you so much for coming.
So how about Hanisah, do you want to start off?
Hi, I'm Hanisah. I'm 22 this year, and I studied arts and theatre management in Republic Polytechnic. I hope that someday my path leads me to being an arts manager in Singapore. Thank you.
Okay, so anybody wants to continue? How about Sheng or Veshnu?
Okay, I go first. Hi, I'm Sheng. I'm a freelance filmmaker. So I've been making films for the past 7 to 8 short films now. And then been involved in producing, writing, directing as well. And me and Beverly used to be colleagues. That's how we knew each other. And then yeah, just some chances and opportunity brought us together on the piece of work that Green did. Yeah, I think we'll be sharing more about that later.
So how long have you been colleagues with Bev?
Actually, not very long. I think 2 years max, right? 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, I think 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, but we don't.
So I was working on the script, and he was the director of my script. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how you guys get to know each other.
Yeah.
Yes,
but
yeah.
the project happened after we no longer are colleagues now.
Yes, after we left,
after
the
we
company
both quit
actually.
the company.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So what's the project about? Don't mind me asking. So what's the project about that you guys were working on? Miss Bev, you're on mute.
We dealt with instructional videos. Yeah. So we designed videos for
e-learning,
for tertiary programs. Yeah, for e-learning. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I think so. How about Veshnu?
I've been practicing performing arts for more than 30 years now, and I'm from Singapore, currently living in New Zealand, and I'm at the moment I'm in Australia. So I've been practicing dance for 30 years, and my background is a classical Indian dancer, and I've been trained in contemporary works. And I've been working in Australia for a production company, Bharatanatyam Dance Company, for quite a long time, and we are a diversified company. We focuses on Asian vocabulary and performing arts, and that's my background. And I've been awarded by Singapore and get regular grants from National Arts Council to do productions. And I'm very privileged to be part of this conference today, and I'm happy to be. I'm delighted to be here with Beverly and all the others. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a really quite a long experience and achievements you have actually come by actually. So how about Kylie? How have you been? The last I seen you was at the collaborators, the conversation with you.
Yeah. Hi, yeah. So I'm the artist from heart to heart for hearts. So like Beverly has said in the video just now, I was born with CHD, and then I wish to speak to all the audience about CHD, like with my visual arts. Yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, we have Bernice with us.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. I was the director of Happy Waiting, but I also am in the background in Veshnu's video as one of the performers. And I was also a performer for Beverly's version of mandala. I think it's not in this particular one, but there was another version.
One of the versions, yeah.
Yeah, there have been multiple versions, which is kind of what I like about the way Beverly works. That the process is very much part of the work. I'm an artist and a performer, writer, and a dance practitioner. I've been in the dance field working for about 10, 11 years, performing for different companies, freelance theater-based performances, physical theater as well. Now I'm a co-director of Daring Do Dance Roly Poly Family with my friend Fei Lim. And we do quite a lot of work with children and with families. And I also have a joint practice with theatre practitioner Chong Gua Ki, and our work Tactility Studies has been shown in different configurations, including at Singapore International Festival of Arts last year. I'm a new mother, so I have been using that as a way to think about art making. So I've also been working on different kinds of media. So I work with photography, text, dancing, video, and I'm also trying to figure out different ways of working with installation and visual media. Yeah, so I guess that's where I am at right now. Thanks for having me, and I think this will be pretty interesting.
I hope everybody is doing well. So let's start with the chit chat. So I want to ask Shen, like, how do you actually get to know about Grain Performance and Research Lab actually?
Oh, I knew about it when even before the From Hearts to Hearts for Hearts project, Beverly needed to edit a showcase for Grain. So that was I think, yeah, that should be the very first contact I have with Grain. Yeah, then, you know, through editing, because I had to look through all the footages and content, so kind of Wikipedia myself through the footages. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually even before 2017, before I had, you know, the very first performance award into the mandala with Grain, because we wanted to propose, you know, this new collective to the National Arts Council at that time. In fact, I contacted Shen in 2016, and I told him, you see, we are setting up this new collective with a small group of people, and I really don't have a budget, you know, because the group is not even set up. There's no grant, no funding, but I really need this video to show what we want to do. And so he actually came in to help me. And yeah, so that's how we started to make connections for Grain Performance and Research Lab. Yeah. Thank you, Shen, so much for helping. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So how about Hanisah? How do you actually get to know about Grain PR Lab? Because you seem to be quite young to actually be here.
When I was
Hey, I'm quite young also, by the way.
Everybody is very young here.
Everybody's young.
Yes. We are
Young
all
at
as
heart.
young as Hanisah, or even younger than her. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. As for me, when I was a student in Republic Poly, Beverly was actually my lecturer. And when she was my lecturer, she was actually petitioning to the FYP teams on like which team wants to take up her project for their FYP project. And thankfully, my team actually nominated Miss Bev's project as one of our to our liking. And then after that, we got to the project, and that's how I actually knew about Grain. But even before that, she used to teach us understanding drama, and she always mentions about her projects, her performances, and all this to us. And through that, I actually got to watch her A Walk to Mandela when I was a student. When I was in my year one, actually, year one, 2017. Yeah, 2017. And that's the first time I actually knew about Grain Performance and Research Lab. Yeah.
So what attracted you to work with Grain? I mean, like, what attracted you about Grain PR Lab? Is it the performance or is it the mission? What is it?
One thing about Grain, they are very, very flexible. They let us decide on how we want it to be. They are not restrictive. Like they let us go beyond the think out of the box and present to them all types of ideas. And it's a very welcoming environment for students like us who are learning, who have no experience. So I think that for my FYP team, we like the fact that Grain was actually welcoming our ideas, even though it was not actually not very feasible at the moment. Beverly and her team would actually guide us through, and that's something that I really appreciate and took away from Beverly. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm very interested about Veshnu because since you have like 30 years of experience, and also I want to know, how do you actually know about Grain Performance and Research Lab?
I had a project grant for Waterloo Street, and I wanted to have some collaborators working with me. So I had Chimeng, and Chimeng introduced Beverly to me. And I was not sure at the beginning, but she turned out to be an excellent person to be working with. And her knowledge with performance arts and being having a doctorate in an area of caliber. And she actually gave me a lot of insight towards how to, be in the production world. I mean, even though I've been producing a lot of work on my own, but being associated with a Grain and performance lab actually eased a lot of things for me, and I was able to allowed a lot of things to happen, and they percolated a lot of different ideas that came out in that thing, because nothing was actually said. The script was done by Beverly, and Chimeng helped, and Beverly was my dramaturg, and we actually came out with different ideas, and it's an ongoing process because the project grant was given to be an ongoing project grant, which we will pursue to another level of performance eventually. So Beverly was one of the person who was leading the whole thing, and she introduced a lot of things. And one thing great about working with Grain and performing arts, because even though I was involved in children and younger dancers, younger artists, working with Beverly had the similar ideas. We always included younger people and newcomers, and somebody internship quality, and we worked along in the area. And Megan was doing the publicity, and Beverly was looking at the whole area publicity and advertising and how we can develop this further, and getting the, we collaborated together, music and all that. So it is an hermeneutical environment where we're in a spiral that we were attracting a magnetic pull to different people. And allowing that to happen as a producer and director, I realized that things just came to us. People just came, and Beverly was in the same mindset, and we worked very well together in that area, actually. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to know?
Sorry?
Is there anything else you want to know?
Yes, I actually want to ask you something, because you actually did a project transit with the Grain. So I just want to know what inspired you to do Project Transit.
Okay, so we're working on, when I put it out, because I wanted to work on Waterloo Street, and I wanted to talk about what was it before and what is it after, and how it actually flows well for me, because my mom was literally a young woman, and my mother was living in the temple, because my grandmother would let my mom, the priest, to take care of my mother, and she'll be going to work. And then I witnessed a lot of change in that area. And when Stamford Arts Center initially was run by Bhaskaran Academy, and they were Santa Bhaskar and Uncle Bhaskar was running it as an Indian dance and multicultural atmosphere, it was overwhelmed with all the practice and dance. And I always hear, and I went to perform and rehearse there. And then when National Arts Council took over and they renovated the whole place and changed the whole atmosphere, I was very curious to know what happens to arts in future. So how a place changes, people changes, and the building still stays. And the building has got historical background from Japanese time and British occupation, and how it actually evolved to be what it is, and what we lost, what we gained, and what is sort of to recognize that as a multicultural, conservative Singaporeans, how we're actually able to go further creating arts, but not to lose the spirit or the soul of the building itself. You see, that is the whole idea of having it as a site performance. And Waterloo Street is an amalgamation of different places. Like you go to the different corners of Waterloo Street, you go links to different areas, the Sungai, river, and all that different areas. And it was very functional and was a living atmosphere. And so that is my whole idea of to bring the Waterloo Street project, so that it actually opens up Singapore to different look. Of course, we had to go into different areas of trying to more control. We were controlled in a way to how to do it conservatively, actually, because we can't explode and go completely because of some other reasons, of political reasons, of things that we have to be able to engage ourselves creative, but yet not to sabotage our area of a performing artist. So that's what we worked very well in that form. But anyway, the project came out to be an extraordinary performance, and the dancers were involved, and the music was involved in the way Beverly walked in silence, and me being a joker kind of spirit together, who links the whole area together, and the dancers talking and speaking and doing different type of dance, not only Indian classical dance, but they had an amalgamation of, again, Malay, Chinese, and European, that contemporary area of looking at, even though it was still in a raw piece at the moment, but it came out very well as an ongoing creative performance piece work, actually. Yeah.
It really sounds very inspirational of your backstory and how you actually project Transit. So I want to ask Bev, how was the experience like working with Veshnu during that project?
Well, I think he said too many good things about me. In fact, he was the producer and he was the key director and leader of the work. I guess what I did was to support him and to help him, look at the coordination aspect of the whole work, and of course assisted with the script, as well as giving myself this role that I always wanted to do, a kind of Tibetan woman role who sings some Tibetan songs, and so I wrote myself in. I wrote that character in. I guess I was a helper to him, and he was the producer of the work. And it was very creative working with Veshnu, because there were a lot of challenges when we had to move around the whole building, and also to perform in different locations with music and text. And when it rained, our voices could not be heard. We actually prayed very, very hard during our rehearsals, full dress, and even hours before the performance that, please don't rain. Because once it rained, our voices cannot be heard. And so there were challenges, but then we actually thought of ways to work with. Even we have contingency plans also in case it rained, but luckily there was no rain at all for our performances. So I think he had a vision, and the vision, I would say, that is very innovative and courageous. And it's a spirit that I really like to see, in artists. And that's why it was a really, I would say, meaningful and engaging kind of collaboration for me. Yeah.
Well, it really sounds very interesting. I'm quite sad that I did not really watch Project Transit. I really hope I can get a video, the clip itself to watch, because it really sounds interesting, and hearing how you guys actually go through the process, it's very nice and very interesting actually. How I wish I can watch it. So I want to ask for Kylie, what is one exciting or any memorable moment you have experienced with Grain PR Lab?
So I actually know about Green PR Lab through a very unique encounter. So, okay, like I said, I was a CHD patient. So after my discharge, on like in 2017, I came out of the hospital and then I decided to draw 15 congenital hearts, different hearts. So I was putting up this booth, and then one of my helper actually was like absent, couldn't make it on that day. So I actually had to skip school and to open my booth, and that's when I saw Beverly. Yeah. Then we were so engrossed in talking about the art thing, and then I forgot that I actually took MC. I was skipping school on that day. So when she asked me, I thought you should be in school today. Then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. She was my lecturer.
So you
Yeah,
skip
and
her
then after
class,
that,
Yeah,
but
so I
after that,
skipped
we
a
actually
class.
informed, her mentor and all other lecturers. And I think your mentor is actually here also. Miss Aziza actually
Yeah.
had a word with you.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, yeah, but it was really quite an interesting moment. It's because of that booth, right, that I got to know her talent. Because as a student in my class, I had never known this aspect of her. No, the aspect that she could actually paint so well, she could draw so well. So after that, in 2017 for Happy Waiting, I actually approached her and asked her whether she could draw, a drawing, to give me a drawing of a couple that we can use for our front of house for Happy Waiting. Yeah, and she helped me with that as well. That was even before From Heart to Hearts for Hearts. Yeah, but she is one talented lady, very talented. Yeah.
You flattered me.
I think it's like a fateful encounter that she skipped
Yeah,
school
Miss
that
Miss
day.
Aziza said, yes,
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
she
just
said in the
wanna
chat.
That
Yeah.
was a story told to me when I joined the project.
So actually I've seen your paintings during For Hearts to Hearts for Hearts. I just want to ask, how long did you actually take to paint?
I can say 1 entire year. So I used Joshua Young's studio, and then I painted there for like entire year. Yeah, I think it's 1 whole year.
Oh wow, okay, like
Because it's not every time I feel inspired, and then I always need to do research because it's a congenital heart, so I cannot like anyhow just draw any diagrams. So I really have to study it and then like think about their feelings and then portray it in a visual art form.
that's I'm very surprised because whenever I look at your artworks and when I compare to mine, you're really an artist because I only can draw stickmans, by the way. So do you have any visual art classes which I can join, by the way?
I don't
For
have.
free now.
Yeah,
But
but I
Not
it's
at the
just
moment lah. Maybe in the
Yeah.
future. I never know.
yeah. I want to comment like it's not easy to draw 15 artworks of the different hearts. So yeah, that's very good. Yes, very talented.
you
Yeah,
need the
thank you.
skill and the determination, which I don't think I have. So really, you really did a good job. Oh my god, you really can
Yeah,
paint
actually, like halfway through, I wanted to give up because I don't have enough fundings, and then I also don't have people who wants to help me. So actually, in the mid of like painting this 15 art piece, I a bit I wanted to retreat lah because I have no funding and then no people to help me. I don't think I can actually fulfill this exhibition at all. Yeah. So it was like until I met Beverly, and then we started this from Heart to Heart for Heart, and then I have my online exhibition as well.
So how did you feel like having your own online exhibition actually?
Sorry?
Like how do you feel like when you have your own online exhibition? Because it's quite a big thing for artists to actually like showcase their art pieces actually.
Actually, to be honest, I feel a bit regretted because I wanted a physical exhibition. It's just that it was because of COVID, then I couldn't hold it like physically.
So Hanisah, so I'm gonna ask, what is one exciting or memorable moment you have with Grain PR Lab that you will kind of not forget?
For me would be, yeah, as I mentioned, my FYP project for Happy Waiting. I was actually the front of a house manager. Although Miss Aziza, who is actually present here, was a brilliant front of house module lecturer, doing it and executing it is entirely a different ball game. So what happened that night was, I'm not sure if everyone have been to Stanford Arts Center. Actually, their corridor where it's actually the front of house area is actually very narrow. So people were standing around, and it was like a very tedious job for me to get to every single one of them to get into the theater so that we can actually start the performance. So and like people were having wine, drinking, mingling. So it was very, very chaotic. And we couldn't actually start the performance on time because people were just mingling around and whatnot. And then the most memorable thing would be having scolded by my FYP lecturer, who is Mr. Effendi. He actually said, Hanisah, you're doing a terrible job of being an FYP manager. It's already 2 minutes into, it's already 2 minutes, you're already 2 minutes late, and get your patrons to get into the theater now. And then like I was like so panicky because this is like my entire FYP's grade. So I was like going to break down into tears. And then luckily my RP lecturers came over there, and then like they helped out. And like my Miss Beverly was there to actually also help out, although like half the chaos was because of her, because she was so excited and she was everywhere, you know, talking to everyone, holding up the crowd. She was so excited, she just don't want to get her friends into the theater, you know.
So my fault, my fault, hello.
Yeah, I would say it's like partially your fault. That the wine, I mean, all of us know how much Miss Bev loves drinking wine. Like I think half of the wine over there went into
in the
Miss
public
Bev's
now.
tummy.
Please carry on. I kind of like this conversation. Please.
Yes, we had a wine photo shoot.
Yeah, we had a wine photo shoot with her.
And then like Miss Bev was so excited with the wine. She started drinking in the afternoon, I guess. Yeah, should be, probably, must be. I'm quite confident of that.
Well,
So,
I'm not surprised. Because for the wine photo shoot, she was like, should I drink the wine? Should I drink the wine right now? But I'm in school, but it's okay. So it's okay.
Yeah,
I get she loves wine.
She loves wine. And then like during
No, I didn't drink the wine.
Wait, closer to performance day, it was so evident that she loves wine because her whole entire lip was stained of wine red, you know. It was stained, like completely stained. And then we were like thinking like, did she get bitten by someone or what? And then she was like, oh, sorry, I've been drinking too much wine. Then yeah. So coming back, the most exciting part would be the opening day, whereby a lot of VVIPs like arts and theatre management, Mrs. Sharon Liu, and all those big shots were there to actually witness. But yeah, it was a good turnout. It was a very fun and exciting day. I enjoyed myself. Definitely one of my biggest highlight of Poly, I would say. Yep, that's about it.
I want to ask, because you actually aspire to become an arts manager. Did Grain actually was a part of the aspiration?
Definitely. I would say this because after being the front of house manager, I was like more interested to becoming more involved in the arts scenes. You know, like although I thought I always had this thinking that in Singapore being an arts manager is not going to get me far. I better have a backup plan. But after seeing Grain execute all these performances, and like it's really not about how much you earn or what you get. It's really the satisfaction that I got out from the opening night, which actually really pushed me to like have the aspiration to become an arts manager.
Yeah. Actually, with your wine experiences and anything, it actually shows that it is actually fun working with Miss Bev. Like it shows the flexibility and the fun side of her. Like even though in that stressful situations, she is still there, calm and collected. That's what I learned from your experience. Yes. So oh, that's me.
That's Megan. She is also part of the
so they were managing the crowd. So it was actually full house and it's free sitting. So I think what happened was the audience were not ushered to the back. Thus, we didn't have enough seats for the audience because there were empty seats at the back, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was quite a chaotic moment.
And
yeah.
then late already, need to close the house. So it's my call. And then people started to stay on the steps, which is definitely a no-no, fire hazard. I got scolded for that as well. And then like that's like the WhatsApp group was blasting. Hanisah, what's going on? Why are people sitting on the steps? It's a fire hazard. Do you know that? Do you have your theory well read? Blah, 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 blah. Then I was like praying to God, please lah, something just happened and all these people just move in. And then like our ushers, who were the volunteers, actually helped to get people moving in, and yeah, it was sorted out.
Okay, so during that period, you were very stressed. So after, you know, the happy waiting all is over, how did you felt like how do you really felt after, you know, when
I
you
was very
recollect the memories?
satisfied. I was very, very satisfied because first night is a lot of complimentary tickets. So like usually complimentary tickets, people just don't turn up without prior information. So I was hoping that people will not do those kind of like pull those kind of stunts, and no, like it was a full house on both days. So yeah, I was very satisfied, very happy, and definitely very touched with all my teammates and whoever came support, especially the RP lecturers, Miss Bev, the performance, Bernice, definitely was a very big part of my satisfaction. And yeah.
I realized that Happy Waiting is Bernice's directorial debut. So I want to ask, how was your experience like working then?
It was my first time working from a script and making sort of overseeing a project artistically that's like a evening length project. Yeah, it was, I think Beverly was very brave to think that I could do it. And I think for me, like just knowing that there's a team, even though it's a team of students with what like trying this out pretty much for the first time, but there's a whole team right behind sort of the producing side of things. It was nice not to have to think about that, because I think in other situations in the arts, sometimes you have to do everything as a director, including some of the production side of things. So yeah, like the way that we were able to work was really, really focused on the creative side of the project. Do you want me to talk about the project as a whole?
Sure.
Or just specifically? Okay. Yeah, so it was new to me like a little bit new to me to work from a script. And to really, I think the scariest thing for me was that it's sort of her version of two of Samuel Beckett's plays. And I was really scared because it's Samuel Beckett. It's not like, yeah, he's pivotal and he changed people's idea of what theater could be. And then the fact that it's like not about that, but at the same time it's there in the background. I was very stressed out. I was like telling Beverly how and she was very encouraging and saying like, don't worry about it too much and focus on her particular perspective. And I think the biggest reason why it felt right for us to work together on this was because of the perspective of repetition and the perspective of like a woman being in this kind of very bizarre situation where like from the outside we see she's like in a not in a good situation. She's basically in a hole in the ground, right? But on the inside, or rather the way that she's performing happiness like the whole time. So we really played with that, although I suppose the set didn't have to look like that, did it? I'm not sure now, can't remember. But we were really able to have fun with some of the imagery. Because Beverly's older version, like old version of this work, I think I managed to see it at in Kai's studio at the time. She was running this studio called Make It, Share It, out of a building in Geylang. And we would go there, monthly, and different performing arts people would kind of gather and show each other works in progress. So I actually saw Beverly's like early version of it, I think, where like it was a suitcase, and then I saw her feet and heels. So that image really stuck. And then the Happy Waiting kind of was a expansion, I suppose, of some of the visuals. And it made sense also for me to bring in the collaborators that I had because of the conversations that we have about, you know, what we want to do with our art making, and also like how do we like how else can we make performance. So yeah, it was like, I think Vishnu was suggesting that, you know, things can organically happen, and it's organic in the sense that we harvest and we don't know where things go, right? Like we're just all working in our own ways, and sometimes like, oh yeah, okay, the timing is right, the project is right, the people are able to do the project together. I think that's a huge part of all this stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I think my biggest fear was like really the weight of, firstly, it's Beverly's script, and secondly, it's a reference, like a huge reference to two major plays. And I'm not like a theater person, so it's not like I know that much about theater history either.
So was there any like particular incident that you always remember during Happy Waiting?
Not really. I mean, I think I'm really thankful that the cast that we had was like, they're just they're friends also. So then we can be very like relaxed with each other, but also able to be honest with each other. Like we could pace out the work in the sense that we don't get too stressed. We spaced out, you know, when we have our rehearsals, where we have our rehearsals. Like we could figure out if I think one of the issues might have been that the studio space wasn't always the best for the dancer. Like it's a bit squashed and the floor is not ideal for some of the movement that he had to do, because he was doing some like crazy rolling on the floor. But we just kind of dealt with it. I think the thing that I'll remember most is the fact that we could build this set, because like I'm one of those people that collects things, thinking, oh, I can use it for an art project one day. And I did. Like all these 8 cartons, a lot of them are from my collection. Yeah, I just knew that it would come in handy, and they did come in handy for this particular project. And it was quite fun to see the students like working at C42 at the time. Yeah, I don't know how many 8 cartons we used, but yeah, it was quite fun to watch them work on it to make it, you know, fit together, and to, you know, hide the actor, like, but still deal with the perspective from the audience, where they're quite high and they can kind of see in and all of that. So yeah, there was a lot of problem solving. Yeah.
So this is from his best, because I just found out from the Zoom chat. So seeing that it's from Mandy Cole, by the way, it's from our audience. So seeing that there are red hills in A Walk in Mandela, Happy Waiting, and even the headstand photos for this project, Transcending Grace. So does it have a special meaning? Like, or do you just love red hills?
I think, of course, in terms of aesthetic representation, red hills always, you know, red hills are always very prominent, especially if you do it upside down, and then what people see will be a pair of heels. In fact, that occurred a couple of times. Yes, I think it's a good observation. In fact, I did headstands on watery flooring way back. I forgot the year already. 2009 or 08. I think 2009, when I performed Poisons in South Korea. It was presented in a physical theater festival. So again, in Poisons, right, what we wanted to say was that we are trapped by different poisons of the heart. And one of course, the different poisons will be, you know, jealousy or even greed. And I think a very strong color, to represent all these strong poisons of our mind, of our heart is red. Because we normally associate, violence, the extreme passion, jealousy with a very intense color. And of course, after that, in a walk into the mandala, I drew a 3-meter wide, circular pattern with rice. It was called mandala. And again, I was wearing red heels also to symbolize how humans, could be trapped in our busy life. And that was also intensified in the performance with how, the character had to deal with the diversity aspects of life, handling different work tasks, at the same time trying to find peace. So I find that red heels can give some kind of contrast to the thirst, to the wish to attain a certain level of peace or even calmness within us. I'm sure when you ask anybody, they will tell you that they want peace. Nobody will want to tell you that, I want to be a very, chaotic, hectic person trying to live life in a very chaotic way. No, but then at the same time, the question is about how we can achieve that peace in us amidst that chaotic life, which I use an intense color red to represent. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very unexpected explanation because I thought your favorite color was red. But it
No,
was
my favorite color is purple and maroon. Yes. And you know why? Because they are the color of the red wine. Okay, sorry, this is my bad joke.
okay.
It's proof that, you like wine a lot. Yes.
Do you have a wine glass with you right now?
No, I have coffee. I
it's
seriously have coffee. Yeah, coffee. I need coffee. Yeah.
Then later you
Black
just
coffee.
take a glass of wine. Then later after this conversation, you just have a glass of wine to reward yourself.
Okay, I think enough about wine. No mention about wine from this point onward. Okay. Perhaps we have audience here who have also seen our works. Perhaps they want to share, also their impression of Grain's work.
Sure. Does anybody want to?
You can unmute your mic to share your views or ask questions, or if you're shy, you can also type it in the chat and we will bring it up. Yes.
Do not worry.
Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I think we'll be very happy to answer.
And then
I think there are some comments from the audience as well. Yeah, that I have missed just now. So I'm reading. Yeah. Perhaps, Anjali, you can mention some of these comments or even sharing. Yeah.
Okay. I got one comment over here from, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly. Is it Suti or Sutai? Is it? I'm so sorry, but I hope I'm really pronouncing your name correctly. So he said that, wow, it is interesting to hear from all of y'all. So Beverly does very interesting work. It's always meditative, spiritual, and dealing with emotions, which is very intriguing. So he thinks that we all need this kind of work since it could be healing and supporting individuals. So is that actually your aim to actually show your message to like new collaborators or to your target audience?
You mean the spiritual aspect?
Spiritual and meditative, that kind. It's like, suppose like your work.
In fact, I would say perhaps most of the projects, but perhaps not the one with Kylie. I think one of the questions to her was how long did she use to complete the works? In fact, when I proposed this project to her, she has already completed about 5 works. And I saw that she was struggling to get funding, to even purchase art materials. And I was thinking, if I can do a work with her, and if I can perform to her works, perhaps I can fund her as an artist, and perhaps I can pay for the materials. And that's how I started. I did not start off with a very spiritual or, very meditative kind of objective. Yeah. I just started that because I saw that a talented young lady here needed some help and assistance in fulfilling her dream. That's all. Yeah. So it didn't start with any very, grand spiritual idea. No. And yeah, and I saw that, she was really trying to raise fund. She set up her booth. She was trying to sell, her different artworks or her other artworks to raise funds. So I felt that, if I have the ability, I want to to with this artist and help her. Yeah. To me, she is a great artist, really. Although she's very young. To me, I appreciate her painting, and I bought one. Yeah.
Oh,
I
which
think that you actually did something very well because you helped a young talent in her artwork.
Sorry, Miss Beverly, you bought 2.
I bought 2. Oh yeah, I bought 2. Sorry, I bought 2.
I think she
I
sold
bought 2
the
because
other
I
one
bought
already,
another
so she
one.
forgot.
I bought another one. No, I bought another one to a friend.
me.
Yeah, to a friend.
You sold already,
yeah.
right? Then you forgot already.
No, I gave her, not so. She is also one of my helper. She assisted me in my theater group. Yeah, as the auditor. So I actually
guess it's
gave her
Jamie,
as a present.
I'm guessing it's Jamie.
No, May. Yeah.
She's
So what
not here
is-
today.
Yeah, she's not here today, but yeah.
Actually, one thing good came out of COVID was because of COVID. Then this project kind of came together also, right?
Yeah.
Because of the grant
yes.
you got.
Yes.
So it's really because of COVID then this opportunity surfaced.
In fact, I wrote the proposal during circuit breaker, and that's why this performance was presented by me as a solo performer, and I wrote the script as well. Initially, when I envisioned this performance, I actually thought that I have to, shoot myself with my iPhone, with my phone, because during circuit breaker we cannot meet anyone, we cannot meet any friends, we cannot work with anyone. That's why I envisioned a lot of superimposed images. So I was imagining, perhaps, Kylie could take photos of her paintings from her house, and then she can send me the paintings, and then I can move and record my movements, and then all this can be superimposed. And that's why in the final work, you do see some superimposed images that derived from the idea born during circuit breaker. Yeah. But
Actually,
of course,
I'm more curious, like
of course we started in phase 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more curious, like how other artists who work with grain, how do y'all interpret the vision, the direction of grain when y'all create works? Or for example, like Bernice, you directed Bev's script. Like how do y'all interpret her vision, or how do y'all interpret grain's direction of work? Yeah, because for me as I can start first, because for me I'm a filmmaker. And
profound question.
I'm a very, y'all can think while I tell my story. So I'm a very mainstream person. I create films, like fictional short films lah. So I'm a very mainstream person. So when I was asked to do that Hearts project, I had to kind of find a balance between the physical theater performance by Bev and then Kylie's painting, of course, and then try and merge them together with the film, the filmmaking knowledge and stuff like that lah. So I have to find that balance while I'm always creating during the process. Like when Bev does a performance, as I film, I create new shots or new ways that even when I'm editing, how Kylie's work can be combined together. If you have watched before, how, like, let's say her painting tour according to her physical theater movements. So that's how I try and approach it in terms of interpreting their performance, their artwork, and Green's direction. So I'm more curious, like those artists, when you collaborate, when you do Green's work, how do you interpret it? Yeah. Okay, enough time for you to think already.
Wow, but I think, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Bernice, go. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess for me, I wasn't necessarily thinking about grain in general. I was just thinking about the script that Beverly had. So and when sorry that sorry we hear all that. It's okay. Okay. Sorry, what was I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was mainly just trying to realize the script and to think about it in a more total way, you know, that's like an entire theatrical experience. But I come from a background of choreography, right? So that was what I leaned on to make things come to life. And so I was thinking a lot about the balance of movement and emotion and the balance of text and movement, and sort of how to play with like the positioning of where people are, and you know, just how to play with the tension of where people stand and when they show up, when music shows up and things like that. Yeah, so I wasn't really thinking about grain so much as I was thinking about making the script, kind of flesh out the script more, and sort of realizing, I think for me it was just the tension between like really quite absurdist happiness, in contrast to something that like Beverly talks about, the image of being trapped. So playing with those, right, like the lightness and sort of, yeah, like you can see that there's a lot of lightness in some of the textures that we choose and in the movement, and you know, like the floating balls, and the cloth, like it's all quite light. The colors is like a bit like super colorful sometimes, but at the same time underneath all of that is like this repetitive, like almost apocalyptic vision. Yeah.
So looking at the Zoom chat, we got 2 questions actually. So first is for Hanisah. So it's from, let's see, it's from Michael. So apparently he's asking you, what was your experience like working with grain during your internship, and what are there any ups and downs? Because it seems like a really tough project, as you just now explained it.
Okay, hi Michael. Actually it wasn't internship, it's actually final year project. So the school assigns us to different theatre projects for us to work on. So the ups would be, since Beverly is already a lecturer in Republic Poly, we don't have to set formal meetings to meet up with her. If we have any queries or whatever, we can just straight away consult with her, which actually saves a lot of time for us, as compared to other FYP teams, because we realized that if in case of any changes or anything to clarify, those teams had to actually really take their time to set up a meeting, wait for the email to be replied and whatnot. But for us, since she was a lecturer there and then, we could clarify it with her. Another benefit would also be, like I keep mentioning this, but Beverly is very flexible. She's not someone who is with rigid ideas. She's open to interpretations, and she let us go on our own, let us explore and whatnot. So that would be another up. The downside, I guess, would be the budget, because we had to work on a very tight budget. Since it's a school team project, right? They don't give us like excessive budget to keep to, but we have to keep to the budget that they give us. So the budget was quite tight on us, but Beverly being Beverly, she's very generous. She will always like, close one eye lah, okay lah, this one don't need to put in the budgeting lah, this one I sponsor, this one I sponsor. So it wasn't really a big problem, but when we do the tabulation and whatnot, when we present it to our FYP lecturer, he was actually quite shocked that we went over budget and Beverly had to bear the excess. So that was one of the downfall that we faced during the project. But I wouldn't say it was a pretty tough project, because the people that we work with, thankfully, are very nice, and they let us come up with all the different ideas. They are open to interpretation. They are always supportive, and they really don't pressure us much because we are students. So I really appreciate that from the Grain team, as well as the performers, Bernice, and all. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I will actually agree with that because Miss Bev is actually very generous and she
Yeah.
will sayang her team members, which I really know
Yeah.
during this time period. The FYP team, the current FYP team is working with her. She will
Yeah,
always
we
bring
will-
snacks.
Yeah,
She will
well fed, number one, well fed.
She will always ask that whether are we okay, are we stressed or not. So that's one thing that the team actually loves working with her because we know that we have a lot of flexibility and she understands
Yeah.
us actually. So
Yeah,
really
during
thank
late
you.
nights, she even sponsors Grab if we work overtime, and she actually sponsors Grab as well. So Beverly, as a person, I would like to really put this out there. She's a very genuine, generous, down to earth, and yeah, I would personally say she's one of my favorites lah in terms of lecture in RP. I always tell her that every year during Teachers' Day, I'll be the first to wish her and say, okay, happy Teachers' Day to my favorite lecturer in RP. Yeah. I mean, she's the
Wow,
only lecturer
thank
that I still
you.
keep in contact also.
Thank you,
actually.
thank you.
Yeah.
No,
So you're quite,
oh no, it's okay.
Sorry?
You can continue. No, it's okay. You can continue.
yeah, that's one thing about Beverly lah that we all have to be appreciative and thankful about.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. She everything also can one.
Yeah.
Really can. Yeah.
Some of them may have a different view. It's okay that we can leave for another session. Okay, it's okay.
Okay. So oh yes, we have another question from Charlene. I hope
Oh,
you can
okay.
hear me, Charlene. So it's for Beverly. So she said that I've observed that many of your performances involves the public spaces. What are the most interesting spaces that you have personally experienced with your body?
Actually, not many of my performances, but the one led and produced by Veshnu was one of the main performances that we had a site-specific performance, but it would let Veshnu share more about that. For me, the most interesting space was my recent shoot at Orchard Road. I did headstand with my red heels again at the crowded Orchard Road. Yeah. And what happened was, I think there were people walking past and then there were people who just want to to test me. I feel they just, when I was doing headstand, they just came to my direction on purpose. But luckily, I've been doing headstands for a really long time. I just had my head on the floor and I just look at the person like, okay, yes, can you go away? I mean, in my mind. And that was during Christmas period when we did the photo shoot. It was in mid-December, so it was very crowded. I guess it was, the most difficult, I would say, performance because it was a shoot outdoor. What I experienced with my body, I felt that if I didn't experience something very different in terms of how I use my body in theater or outdoor. Of course, this is the COVID-19 period. I was more concerned with the hygiene. So I actually sprayed, disinfectant spray on the floor before I went to do my headstand. But other than that, it was okay for me, as in I gained a kind of groundedness when I was in that position, although people were passing me and walking past and things like that. I guess it's about finding that center in us, despite our surroundings. Yeah, I think it is important that we can find that groundedness in us. But perhaps, Veshnu, you want to share your idea about Project Transit. What prompted you to, to make it a site-specific performance whereby we had to move around, Stanford Art Center to perform that piece. Yeah, and I actually traveled down from the stairs with an ancient chant and with this gong, and some of my RP colleagues actually call me the gong lady. Gong in Hokkien, I think is like the silly lady. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would say that because a site performance involves what is the activity around the space where you're performing. So that includes, and the audience and the artist should be should allow the others around to be the part of the performance space and the quality, what comes in, the sound, the sight, the mingling, like what Beverly said, somebody came inside, maybe it might be on purpose, but you need to witness all this thing and allow that to happen. At the same time in control that it's not getting overwhelmed with that situation. So that's what the whole idea of site performance for me. And when I was doing that in Waterloo Street, the initial idea I had about that performance was a ghost. So I wanted a ghost in the performance because it was an old school where and we had the idea of having a ghost walking around and mirroring ghosts in every room. But that sort of like fade off, and we thought, okay, what we can do otherwise. So I became like a spirit man, a soul, and somebody who is witnessing the whole idea of what is happening in that building. So my personality and my character in that role was a witness who sees what is happening and to allow the audience to follow me to get to the places that we are talking about. Every area of that building had a different view about it. For example, the front, we were talking about the beginning of what is happening, and it's a playful combination of dialogue and 3 different character roles. Actors were talking about different. It's an inclusive of language, which is a multi-language. We'll try those things, like we spoke in English, and we brought Malay and Chinese and Tamil. We used Tamil language, and the actress Mumtaz did a wonderful mimicking, persona, and she created that persona of bringing that in the inner language, and it's made it very playful. And she ran into that front of the house and talked to the god in front, which is the Krishna, and oh Krishna, and all that thing. So it's a sort of like we brought that kind of real life event in that whole area, even though the script had a much more deeper meaning to us, what is happening to Singapore, or how we are building Singapore, and what is happening to our baggages that we are holding, and society we are living in. And we sort of like mingling in a society which is yes and no, and in between, where we don't know where we're going, but we're sort of accepting, and that kind of expression we brought inside. So a site performance meant a lot in that area, that every bit was like created with that pillar and the rock and the door and the people around, and Beverly walking down with the gong symbolizes the Buddhist temple just beside, and Krishna and the Kuan Yin supposed to be brothers from young. That's how we were always told. So all that came up in a very interesting and in a very beautiful way. It's like very, very silent. Sometimes there's noise, and sometimes there's just a stupefied situation. It's like, so every expression, every bit of things came out very nicely. So and the dancers enjoyed it very much. Bernice and Janzong, and a lot of, and they all had this thing of putting it together, and it's just a collaborative work. It's like, that's the whole idea, because it was not just dance, it was acting, it was dancing, it was singing, and it was lighting, and it was the audience interaction. It's the intersubjectivity between the audience and us. So it's a magnum opus idea in a way, but it wasn't developed yet. So that's how I should put it, So Beverly, I hope I answered the question what you're asking me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's a lot of like factors to take into consideration when we work outdoor, when we work in spaces that are not so conventional. Yeah, and of course there are also the unknown aspects. Perhaps Bernice would also like to share with us your experience. I think you also did performances outdoor, right? From what I could see. Yeah.
Sorry,
what's your experience about
in
not
general?
only in Project Transit, yeah, in general? I think I saw some of your photos. Yeah.
Wow, this is, it's so hard to recall everything, but I think doing site-specific work, which Veshnu kind of alluded to earlier, is quite challenging in Singapore because if you know a bit about people who've done their like drama box, you know, you go to a community space that's not specific for the arts, right? Then you have to figure out, do I have to talk to HDB? Do I have to talk to URA? Do I have to talk to SLA? There are all these things. So it can be very difficult to do any kind of public performance, especially if it's under the banner of something that's quite official. So whenever I've done anything public in Singapore, it's usually within like it's like kind of, maybe for example, when Maya Dance Theatre was where I used to work, when Maya Dance Theatre was at Kampong Baru Road, it was like an old converted community center that then, I'm not sure what the building really was, but it was like an old community center and they had some space there, and we could use the building, right? Like, so it's like a 2-story building with a big, not big, but with a kind of like a basketball court kind of feeling outside. So I've performed in that kind of space. I've like done some performances, and Beverly's definitely done this, where we were in the substation and we could use the whole building, right? And I mean, we've done performances as Roly Poly Family at spaces like Ground Up Initiative, which is like a farming space with some kind of outdoorsy spaces. But it's like a public space in the sense that it's not a conventional theater space, but it's not like you can just like go out on the streets and perform. I've only done that if it's like a video, then you kind of can get away with it sometimes. If it's a video, it's like you're performing for the video, people sort of ignore you in Singapore if you have a camera up. So that's one of the strategies I discovered. Like some, you know, near my house, like I did this very small project for an international artist. It was just like a for fun kind of thing, not a paid gig or anything like that. And she sent over this huge red skirt, massive, also red skirt. And it was like part of a thing where she sent it around the world. And people just like ignored, just like, oh, okay, like there's something interesting going on here. So I think that's the kind of tension that we live with when we are trying to perform publicly in Singapore. Yeah, I mean, when I just graduated, we did more like risky stuff, like, you know, go on the shopping center escalators and just like do stuff. But yeah, I think it's quite different now. Did that kind of answer your question? I don't know.
Well, it did.
Adding to what Bernice said, I should share that it's also very difficult to get audience participating sometimes for in a performance, especially in Singapore. You know, so just like what she mentioned is like audience just stare at you, they don't get involved. But I'm living in a country that they get involved, and it's very interesting when they get involved. You know, expands that horizon of that whole idea of what you're trying to do as a side performance. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something about people being responsive, right? Rather than being in a situation where we all have very clear, I think having clear boundaries is great, but when the boundaries are so tight, which is I think what all of Beverly's work is about, like all the boundaries are so tight and they hem you in, and then you're like, actually you're allowed to do stuff, but then you don't dare to. And I think that's where the problem really arises.
Singaporeans very shy.
I think
I mean,
they are very safe. That is why we have a lot of boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there are good things about that, don't get me wrong. But, you know, sometimes if you are always told no, 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 then actually when it can be a yes, then yeah lah, sometimes it's like have to just let go of all the no's. Sometimes, not always.
That's very interesting to hear, actually. So from the Zoom chat, actually, in Sheng, we got a question from you from Yong. So how important do you think film directing brought out the expressions of the arts? Is it more technical, or given that Veshnu has also shared so much of the expressions that he wants to capture, do you have to consider their requirements also? He also means, how does film directing also comes into play over here?
Okay. Thanks, Yong, for the question. So, like what I mentioned earlier, I'm a very mainstream person. So, but actually, back in my school days, I actually directed plays before, and actually watched quite a large number of theaters, musical plays, in both English and Chinese. So, I do have that bit of interest in terms of play, how theater expresses themselves, the stories and stuff like that. So when I did from Hearts to Hearts for that is actually a physical theater, what I did was how I think film directing bring out the expression of the arts. Well, I see what the dance movement are, and then from there I try and use my filmmaking knowledge to elevate certain parts of the performances. So if you watch before, certain parts where Beverly was looking up, gasping for breath, or looking out for hope, the angle changes. It changes to a top down of her looking out, kind of give hope rather than a flat angle shot. So that's how I try and capture the expression. I mean, I'm not a in-depth theater knowledge kind of person, but that's how, which is why earlier I asked the question of how do I interpret the works. So that's how I interpret it, and then I try and use camera angles to bring up, to elevate all these moments. Yeah.
I also
So
love all the transactions that you propose, and this is my
Thank you.
favorite. Yeah, I will show it. This is my favorite transition in the film. Yeah, it's really smooth to me. Yeah, and Ying actually came up with all the transitions for this film, from heart to hearts for hearts.
bit lag, but the skirt dropped and then we cut to the outdoor scene. Yeah, so these are the things that I try and bring, I try to bring to the table to elevate the piece itself, be it the artwork, Kylie's artwork, or Beverly physical theater movement. Yeah, and the question was, how does film directing comes into, then that's a part lah. So in terms of directing, I direct the camera angle, and certain parts where I experience like, oh, okay, this part is a bit more anguish, for example, or a bit more painful. Let Bev know lah. You can express it in a more or less. I can control in terms of the expression, and then hopefully across the screen I bring it out. Yep.
So I actually want to ask. So like after you have done like directing and everything, and you see the final product. So after looking at the final product, do you ever feel that, you know, I could have done this shot like this, or like in another way, or different type of angles? Have you ever thought about it?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Like that day I was watching the playback. There was one shot, I think it was an ending shot. We zoom in or zoom out. Anyway, we have very limited resources. We only have one tripod, one camera, and I think one very short slider. So I'm very good at making use of whatever I have to create works. So that day I was watching, and I was like, oh yeah, that shot I should have used I think it's track-in. I should have used a track-in or something like that. Yeah. But for me, it's when a work is done and it's out. Like anyone can criticize, I don't care. No, I don't care. I mean, anyone can criticize, anyone can comment. I am very open to receive all comments. Yeah. So for me, when it's done lah. Yeah. No regrets kind of thing. Of course, things can always be better. Whatever work is being created is a record of the moment that it was being done. Yeah. Wow.
Better, right? I mean, it's better, right? Like once you know, like it's like a learning process, like whatever you have done, and then after you see like people's comments, and also whatever you feel like you could have done better, you could implement them for the next future productions you actually direct also lah.
Yeah, definitely. I love to read comments actually. I mean, good or bad, really, like because I feel that as long as there are comments, whether it's good or bad, means people does care about the work lah, and they watched it. Yeah. So I love reading comments. Like I love telling people, just tell me anything about the work. It's fine. Bad is also okay. I'm very happy to hear that one. Yeah. So that's me. Yeah, that's me as a filmmaker. I really love that. to hear all the feedback when they watch it.
That's very good, actually. So, Miss Beth, we actually have a comment from Melody. So, she's actually talking about your headstand in Orchard. So, on your most viewed TikTok, there is a comment, helicopter with
Okay.
a helicopter emoji referring to a current meme. So, how do you feel after seeing that comment?
I think that is quite an achievement of your team, FYP team, that we received, I think, 13.2K views for that TikTok video. Maybe someone can share, because I think my Wi-Fi is not very stable to share any video today. Yeah, so perhaps someone can share this TikTok video, yeah, with those who are not sure what she's talking about. Maybe some Zoe, you can click on the link and share this video. So I think that phrase, but she's referring to how I move my legs, like helicopter. So I thought it's quite an achievement of your team to be able to connect with I would say with the young people, and also to achieve the views with a newly set out TikTok account. We only set out this account, I think, in mid-December or late December. Yeah. So it's less than 1 month old. Yeah, so yeah, Zoe is sharing the video. We can't see any image, Zoe.
Zoe is actually trying to get the TikTok right now. So I just want to ask, how was your experience like doing the headstand in Orchard? Because it was a very busy day, and I know nobody would actually do a headstand in Orchard, but you were very bold enough to do it. So how was it like? Like, what made you want to do a headstand actually?
Okay. I have been doing headstands, of course, in my training as a physical theatre performer. So I work with contrast for that headstand in Orchard, because normally people would not associate something calm, something like headstand with nature. I just want to do something of a contrast, and that's why I brought it to Orchard. And of course, people would associate doing headstands in sports shoes, barefooted. I want to create a kind of juxtaposition of my body, as well as what my body can do physically with the kind of environment. You will say that these elements would not be placed side by side, ion and headstand, but it was my deliberate choice to do that. Yeah. It's also a kind of performance art for me. Yeah. To do it when people just walk past, it's like, something happens on the street, an artist is doing something, and people may form their own associations to what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is actually quite difficult because headstand is one thing, but you moving with your legs, and someone with the pace, and it's quite actually like it's kind of appreciative because you really took a very long time to do the headstand. Plus, with the movements, you're moving your legs up and down and going around actually. So, like, how long do you actually took to practice for the headstand?
Wow.
Yes, how long?
Okay, that's a long story. I first started trying to do headstand. I could not even do a proper headstand. In 1993, I joined a workshop by my previous director, trainer of theatre, my very first trainer in theatre. Her name is Ping, for those who know her. So she just demonstrated headstand to me and said to me, go up. there was no yoga mat, there was no mat, nothing, but it was a rehearsal space. I just had to observe and see how I could go out. Seriously, that was my initial point of headstand in 1993. So gradually I tried my best. I tried to observe how she did headstand, of course, with both hands supporting, not with forearms only. So I started off with tripod headstand with both hands supporting the floor and head on the floor. So after I have managed that, I move on to challenging my body, with different types of headstands, with playing with my legs as if I'm dancing in that headstand position, things like that. I also challenge myself by wearing heels to do headstand. Yeah, so I would say that it's progressive, but my first contact was in 1993, but I think I could only do a proper headstand in 1996. Seriously, yeah. But I didn't practice every day, of course. I attended a workshop. I was an undergrad then of NUS. So I was not practicing physical theatre full-time then. I only went into full-time with theatre ops then in 1996. I graduated from NUS in 1995. Yeah.
That's very, very long experience.
Mm.
So I hope that everybody is all right. And is there any other last questions or comments from the audience that you wish to ask for our collaborators we have? Or anything, any of the collaborators you want to share something with us?
Yeah. So I do actually have a website, and then I showcase all my 15 artworks there. So maybe I just share the link.
Sure, you can share the link to the Zoom chat. Yeah. So, so people are saying it's very insightful for the conversation. So really thank you so much, brain collaborators, for coming down for this session and talking about your experiences and your views and all. So I really hope that the audience are enriched and they know what is Grain about. And we also hope that new collaborators come and collab with Grain and more new works come to us also. So audience, please do like and share Grain's social media handles like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, where you can see our most famous headstand video done by Beverly. So thank you everyone for coming, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And do feel free to share your thoughts with us. Yeah, the link will be given to you here in the chat. Yeah, feel free to fill in the survey form. We would love to listen from you. Yeah.
And you guys
Thank
can
you.
actually say what else can Beverly do instead of headstand. So next year it can be something else. It can be Marina Bay Sands in something she can do. So you guys can actually tell us what she will do, and she'll do it for you.
Yes, if I can.
Maybe she'll
Do
do
what?
headstand
Sorry.
with wine glass. Headstand with wine glass.
Wow. Headstand there, I need to use my feet to support the wine glass. But I have 3 posts with wine glass. If you look at our Instagram, yeah, 3 posts. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Bernice, Veshnu, Kylie, Hanisah, and Ying for being with me today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys face to face again soon for wine. Okay, fine.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.